Welcome everybody. I will start by quickly introducing myself. So I'm Jerome Bernard. I'm the lead of blockchain and DLT solutions at Talon. Talon is an IT consulting company focusing on multiple technologies, one of them being obviously the blockchain. One particular thing to know about ourselves is by the end of the year, we should have about 2,000 people in the company. We are spread over multiple countries, and even in France, we have multiple cities, which is quite a big challenge when you think about collaboration. How are you able to foster collaboration when people don't know themselves, when you have such a huge group of people? The issue we have is that we don't want to have top to bottom or bottom to top collaboration only. Sometimes are useful, but what we are trying to achieve is horizontal communication. And this is definitely more difficult when a group is spread like we are. So what we wanted to do is to be able to give immediate feedback on a user when he's helping others or collaborating. The second thing also is that we wanted to provide reputation, and we've done that through a gamification process that I won't cover much during the presentation because of the lack of time, but feel free to come back to me afterwards if you are interested in that part. Second thing also is that we knew that obviously there was already some collaboration being done within the group, but we couldn't know exactly what was done in a collective manner, and this is an issue because we don't know where we're good at and where we're inefficient. So hence TalanCoin. So TalanCoin is a mobile application running in production for a bit less than 2 months now. So basically the app is quite simple, as you will see, but there are some interesting uses that I will cover. So we've got, obviously, any employee is able to install the app, and we strongly encourage them to do so. We have two kinds of wallets in the application, one personal wallet for each employee, but also team wallets. So think of team as the most permissive way. So it could be, for example, an agile or blockchain community within our group, could also be a football team. So it doesn't really matter what kind of team is behind it. There's no strong link between between a user and a team. So I will do a quick overview of the app and focus on more interesting things. First thing is obviously how do you get coins? It's kind of basic actually. If you help someone, that person is more likely to reward you accordingly. If you're involved in communities also and help them grow, the team leader of that community would definitely reward you. And could also be anything you think of. There's no limited reason why you could obtain coins. It could be just because you're cool and someone wants to give you coins. The next thing is that you'd hope at least to be able to send coins to anyone, so that works. But there's a particular thing we've done here, which is all transfers that are done through the app are kind of tinted with a specific reason. So we've got a limited list of available reasons. So you have to choose like events, business, hiring, whatever. And I'll come back to that later on during the presentation and the reason why we did that. The third thing is what use can you do with your coins? It kind of like works. It kind of works like a loyalty program. So basically, we've got shops in which you can buy things. So you'll find the usual things you'd expect. Either goods like shopping gifts, goodies, whatever, or also more interesting things. Sorry, from my point of view, like tickets and free time in order to attend to conferences like this one. One thing also we decided is that any team leader can provide new offers in those shops, and when someone buys those items, they are the one who are receiving the coins. And lastly, we made a strong choice, and the tokens or the coins are melting over time. So let's say I have a wallet of 150 coins, and from that wallet, I have 100 of them which are aged more than a month. I haven't done anything with them. They're just sitting in my wallet. What we do is that we take 4% every month of the coins that have been used and are aged more than a month. So if my wallet was 150 and those 100 were aged more than a month, at the end of the melting process, I would have 146 tokens left. Okay. So this seems to be quite a big amount, but in the end, not really. And we did that in order to foster exchanges between our collaborators. Ask yourself, is it really interesting to have a user to have a big wallet? I mean, obviously, if he has a lot of coins in his wallet, he did multiple things that are beneficial, but still, it's way better if he keeps sending back those coins back into the system. This is why the coins are somehow distinguished with reputation. So reputation don't melt, but coins do. So this is great. We are able, from a user perspective, it's quite simple app, as I said. As I said in the introduction, our goal was to be able to understand how those coins were used, how collaboration is done within the group. And basically, this is a dashboard illustrating that. So on the screenshot, don't focus on the data on the screenshot. It's fake data. Only the data on the left is a good one. So the reason why I'm showing this is that we can obviously track over time how the coins are used. And actually, if we were to send to do a big event, we would expect to see that accordingly the next morning in the dashboard. If we can't see some peaks around that event, it means that somehow we were not really efficient in how we used it. So this is a great tool in order to improve ourselves. The display you have on the right side of the screen with the pies is actually are linked to the reasons of why you sent the coins. So we have also an overview of how they are sent and for which reason. Some few metrics I could talk about. So the app is in production since a bit less than 2 months now. We have more than 600 wallets that have been already created and are actively being used, which equals to about a bit more than a third of our employees, which is kind of nice in such a short time. And not that many conversions, which is potentially a great thing. It's too soon to say, but I was kind of hoping that people, instead of converting their coins to some goods, were actually going to send them back to other collaborators, which is more interesting in my point of view. So how does it work behind the scene? First thing is we had to make many trade-offs. The reason being that we are talking mobile app and a native mobile app, actually two, one for iOS and one for Android. And when we started, this was quite a challenge. Nothing was ready for mobile applications with a great user experience from a wallet perspective. So we'll come back to that. So the first trade-off we made is that we couldn't really use a public blockchain. The reason being that most of our transactions with TalanCoins are micro transactions. So the cost of gas would be way more higher than the value of the coins exchanged, which is an issue that we hope to mitigate in the near future. The second problem we had is that considering now we are using private blockchain, is proof of work was an issue, not really because of the waste of resources from an IT point of view, but more because we are talking again a mobile app, and users' latencies for transactions was way too big and non-deterministic. So sometimes transactions went through in just a few seconds, and sometimes in the worst case we had to wait up to 7 minutes. This is definitely not usable for mobile application. So we switched to a proof of authority, where each country of our group has one node of the system. And also for accounting reasons, some things I won't cover here today. And the other reason is that through the click engine that we used, we're able to get deterministic latencies, which is nice. The third thing is our biggest problem, which is, as I said, we can't. When we started, we couldn't find a way to have the. Sorry, the mic is a bit. We couldn't find a way to have the wallets somehow hosted or controlled by our users within the mobile, and we had to make a choice that we don't like. Things have changed quite a bit since then. We are hopefully. Thinking that we should be able to fix that issue, and this is particularly interesting because we also have now a web application coming soon. So basically, could simply be used by a browser extension like MetaMask, and then the users would be in charge of their wallets. One thing I forgot to mention also is that if I go back, sorry. Oops, sorry, too soon. On that slide, on the melting process, all the coins that are melted are sent back to a specific wallet. Right now, only top executives in our group are able to reallocate those coins back into team wallets and personal wallets. This is something we definitely want to change, and we have been working on that. So basically, the idea is that we will move to something like a decentralized organization, where also users will be able to voice themselves and say how we should reallocate those funds. This was a quick presentation given the time I had. I'm sorry about that, I had to cut a lot of things. I have some few stickers left that are illustrated there, especially those unicorns ones. So I will give them to anyone asking questions, and otherwise come and talk to me after the talk. So no one wants stickers?
Thank you very much. Why is it necessary, according you, to use a blockchain for this?
Yeah, good question. As it is, we don't really need a blockchain, for sure. The reason why we need a blockchain is for later uses. So basically, when we will start to move through a process where the funds of the melt processes will be relocated, then the blockchain will be more interesting. Also, we are trying, and we are hopefully, we think that we will be able to do it soon. We'll be able to decentralize the platform. So we want to give control back to the users, and without a blockchain, this can't be done, even in a private environment. And third, it would be way more interesting to use a blockchain, I agree, but only if we were able to use that platform across multiple companies. So we've been discussing a lot with plenty of big corporations that are really interested in that, not for the blockchain, but as a solution in itself. And if you think about it, if we were a startup doing that, we could have done it differently. For example, the shops could have been mutualized between different companies, and then a blockchain would definitely be a better solution for that. That might be our product might move on.
Hi. So as I understood, anybody can provide the talent coins to anybody else for whatever they see fit. But have you thought about any mechanism that basically makes it so that these tokens are given within the value system of the organization? So not just because somebody gave a sandwich to somebody else, but really because some way to steer the giving to the values of the company.
I'm not sure I understood very well the question. So your question was about another usage when sending.
No, I mean like something that. So as it is, anybody can give coins for any reason to somebody else, right? So you cannot be sure that the person with holding the most coins is actually the one which is the most useful for the company. It might be just the most popular one, right? So although this can be also okay, I wonder if you're thinking about any mechanism or like incentives that you give to people for them to give coins in a constructive way.
Sure. We have seen already some interesting uses around that. First thing is we had a look at the dashboard a few days back, and we are wondering why we had a peak on a Sunday, which is kind of weird in our case. Turned out that we were sponsoring a marathon for charity reasons, and basically they were using TalanCoin as an incentive to bring our people there to give more money to that charity. So we have ways to incentivize our collaborators in the way we want by simply providing offers that are more financially attractive than others. I'm not sure I'm answering your question that way. Is that it, or was it a bit different?
But as far as I see, this incentivizes people to offer coins, right, in general?
Yeah.
Not, I mean more like the criteria that they use to think, who am I going to give this coin to, right? So instead of giving my coins to the coolest guy in the office, I'm actually going to give my coins to the one that contributed the most to the projects that we're developing, you know?
Okay, so we don't enforce anything right now. It's probably too soon. We need to see how the application is being used, and eventually we will adapt ourselves based on that. We made the choice to be kind of neutral regarding that, and we will see. But so far, we haven't seen really big issues about that. We've kind of seen the opposite things, like new offers popping up in the shops that we were not really anticipating. I mean, non-business related things, like some guys providing meditation courses, some other oriental dance courses, and whatever else. So through the shops, they can market themselves more and give hints to where coins should be spent and sent.
Thanks.
So I have two questions. First, I didn't get if it's only intra-company or I also can give coins to my friend. And the second question is, how do you generate tasks or shifts, or what's should I ask for help or just give somebody coins and that's all?
So for the first question, those coins are only used internally, so you can't exchange those coins to other tokens or cryptocurrencies or even fiat. You can't buy them, you can't sell them. The second question, sorry, was about, oh yeah, okay. So no, it's different than, for example, Colony, where you have specific tasks that are allocated specific amounts or bounties. In that case, we don't have that. We just provide guidelines to our collaborators and also to our team leaders regarding how much coins we would expect them to send based on the different kind of task. So the thing is, we are not sure what's the best solution. So we prefer right now to experiment, give everyone any choice he wants, and we will see and figure out what works and what doesn't, and react on that.
Any more questions?
Thanks. I'm sorry.
Hi. At what point do you think the experiment will be successful? Like, what are the key factors you're looking for success?
The first one we were especially having a look at was the number of transactions we were able to generate over time. That was our key performance metric. In my point of view, the real value is not in those kinds of metrics, but we want and we hope that we will see usage of that application that we haven't foreseen. And as I said, some offers have been already proposed there. So we don't really have a timeline for that. I mean, obviously it costs money because when you buy goods, there's some real money behind it. So we are just actively monitoring that, and we have pre-funded in Fiat that initiative. But we will just see and observe what's going on. The other thing also is I haven't talked about our roadmap, but except the kind of decentralized organization regarding the melt, there's another thing we're also working on, which is kind of like an internal crowdfunding platform. So obviously, those coins could be a nice incentive in order to gather around a common project. And eventually they won't be able, I mean, the people proposing new projects won't be able to get enough funds in order to do what they want. But at least it will give some kind of feedback on where the trend is or something like that. And then our group could simply decide, okay, this seems like a really good idea. They've been able to get traction among the various communities. So we should definitely help them and give them some money in order to do what they want.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.